I huddled outside a church, awaiting dawn. She halted. Her tone became gentler. He located me. An elderly gentleman named Thomas. He provided me with his coat, remained by my side throughout the night, refrained from inquiring, and simply stayed. Henry remained silent. He was unable to. Claire continued, stating that she never saw him again. At that moment, it was as though someone penetrated the darkness and proclaimed, "You are significant." I constructed this establishment because to him. She oriented herself completely towards Henry. Last week, another individual presented me with a coat. I was unaware of my identity. I did not request anything, merely provided. Henry gulped audibly. "You evoke memories of him," she stated. "Not due to what you provided, but because of your essence." They remained silent, enveloped by the sounds of vitality and mirth. Henry's gaze traversed the room, observing the youngsters at play, a volunteer fastening a shoelace, and a young kid reading aloud with excessive enthusiasm. It seemed genuine and comforting. Claire caressed his arm delicately. "I do not require you to conform to a boardroom setting, Henry. I require you to remind individuals of the significance of compassion." Henry remained silent, offering no verbal response. His eyes were now moist. He averted his gaze, attempting to dispel them through blinking, yet they persisted nonetheless. Silent, unrestrained tears. Subsequently, he acquiesced with a nod. Not for the position, the remuneration, or the designation, but because, for the first time in years, he experienced it. He remained necessary, beneficial, and human. Henry remained immobile at the heart of a room brimming with exuberance and mirth. A solitary tear coursing down his worn visage, not from sorrow, but from the profound relief of recognizing his continued significance. Henry's inaugural day at Infinity Group commenced without any celebration. There was no inaugural celebration, no press announcement, merely a subdued assembly in a modest glass-enclosed room on the 5th floor, attended by several doubtful department heads and a pile of sticky notes. Claire had introduced him succinctly. "This is Henry Miles. He is present to assist us in creating something more significant than just profit." The expressions were courteous yet ambiguous. However, Henry remained unperturbed. He commenced by recounting his narrative. Neither the sentimental version nor the sensationalist type, but fragments. Authentic artifacts. The experience of losing everything. To awaken in an icy truck. To into job interviews aware that your shoes are damaged, go for kindness. Initially, they listened with measured intrigue. By the conclusion of that initial week, they were inclining forward. Henry possessed a manner of speaking that was neither didactic nor theatrical. He posed inquiries that prompted them to hesitate. "When was the most recent occasion you genuinely made eye contact with someone? Are you aware of the name of the custodian responsible for cleaning this floor? How would you respond upon witnessing an individual weeping in the break room?" He did not arrive with charts or data. He entered with compassion. A gradual transformation commenced. Employees began to approach him individually. Initially, the interns, followed by junior developers, and subsequently department bosses. Some addressed stress, while others discussed burnout. Several individuals attended solely to sit in silence throughout the lunch period. Henry listened, and when he articulated his thoughts, he refrained from proposing answers. He provided insight. "You are not defective," he once remarked to a young programmer who admitted to having gone without sleep for 3 days. "You are merely fatigued." Fatigue does not equate to weakness. It signifies that you have invested care for an extended period without receiving reciprocal affection. That phrase was ultimately affixed to office doors, inscribed on mugs, and cited in all company emails. Claire observed the entire event from her corner office. She observed the transformation of breakroom discourse, the resurgence of laughing. Productivity increased not due to pressure, but because individuals felt acknowledged. Henry soon had an official place of his own. Compact, inviting, adorned with flora, pre-owned literature, and a perpetually full coffee pot. Beyond professional obligations, life commenced a subtle and significant reconstruction. With Claire's assistance and a tiny housing allowance from the corporation, Henry secured a down payment on a modest one-bedroom residence on the outskirts of Brooklyn. Although modest, it featured a porch, a vegetable plot, and walls that remained stable in the wind. Significantly, it accommodated Noah. In his inaugural year at a nearby university, Noah had returned to reside with his father. Their inaugural dinner in the new residence was modest, consisting of spaghetti and garlic toast. However, Henry would retain the memory for the whole of his life. "You fulfilled your promise," Noah remarked that night, becoming emotional. Henry did not respond. He was unable to articulate it verbally. However, the expression in his eyes conveyed all. Claire and Henry encountered one another almost daily. Initially, it pertained to labor, conferences, strategy, and collaboration. Subsequently, it increased effortlessly. They commenced having lunch together, followed by strolling to the metro together. Subsequently, weekend coffees evolved into evenings dedicated to seeing classic films and engaging in conversations about various topics. It lacked drama. It was not rapid. It occurred suddenly. Two individuals had invested years in constructing emotional defenses, only to discover solace in the tranquil companionship of someone who sought nothing but gifts. One late afternoon, while standing on the building's rooftop and observing the sunset behind the skyline, Claire remarked softly, "You have transformed this place, Henry." He laughed softly. "No, I merely reiterated what they were already aware of." She gazed at him, prompting my own recollection. Henry had just completed a workshop on resilience when a young guy remained after all others had departed. He appeared little older than 22, slender, pallid, with eyes encircled by fatigue. "I merely wished to express something," he stated, his voice trembling. "Last month, I intended to resign. All aspects of life, I was finished. However, upon hearing you speak, I was halted." Henry remained motionless, his heart racing. "You mentioned that individuals do not require correction. They merely require acknowledgement. No one had previously articulated that to me. It felt as though someone finally recognized my presence." The young man gulped audibly. "Without your presence, I doubt I would be here." Henry experienced constriction in his chest. He advanced and rested a hand on the young man's shoulder. "I am so pleased that you are." Following the departure of the young man, Henry seated himself in his chair, the room abruptly silent, the words reverberating in his head. He had previously contemplated if he would ever hold significance again. He now possessed his solution. The atrium of Infinity Group had never appeared in this manner previously. The banners of quarterly accomplishments and product introductions had vanished. Soft white draperies, strands of soothing lights, and a large banner inscribed in fine lettering, "One Kindness Day," adorned the space. Employees stood shoulder to shoulder, attired in their finest, not for professional purposes, but for a significantly more profound occasion. Claire Langston ascended the podium at center stage, her gaze traversing the room. "This day is not focused on metrics," she commenced. "It pertains to moments." The room fell silent. A year prior, I stood at a bus stop in frigid temperatures, solitary, fatigued, and more disoriented than I comprehended. A man I had never encountered performed an action that no one else undertook that night. He bestowed to me his coat. A whisper of acknowledgement rippled across the assembly. Claire smiled gently. It was aged and tattered, yet it embodied the essence of kindness, illustrating that genuine compassion does not defer until it is convenient. It manifests when the world is least prepared for it. She approached the easel adjacent to her and unveiled the cloth that covered it. Behind a glass frame resided the identical coat, tattered at the sleeves, dulled from years of wear, yet preserved as if it were sacrosanct. Inscribed on a bronze plate below were the words, "One small act of kindness can transform a life." Claire's voice trembled little. That action not only altered my evening, but also transformed the trajectory of my life. Today, we commemorate not only that moment, but also the individual who facilitated it. She faced the edge of the stage. "Henry, will you ascend here?" Henry rose gradually from his seat, attired in a modest suit, lent by a friend, although meticulously ironed. He navigated through the applause. His visage, marked by the passage of time and adversity, now bore a semblance of tranquility. He approached her side. Claire retrieved a little envelope from her pocket. "This is yours," she stated. Henry unsealed it. Contained therein was the formally stamped and official deed to his new residence. Gasping reverberated among the assembly. Claire inclined forward with a grin. No further sleeping in trucks. The room resounded with acclaim once more, yet Henry raised a hand. "I possess something as well," he stated, gradually extending his hand into his jacket pocket. He extracted a little, unadorned box, aged, and evidently retained for an extended period. He gazed at Claire, his heart racing. You claimed this garment transformed your life, yet you transformed mine. Restored my name, my son, shelter, and optimism. He unsealed the container. Within was a silver ring, understated yet subtly gleaming under the illumination. I concealed it in my pocket, he stated, his voice quivering. For if there exists anything more precious than this coat, it is you. Claire gazed at him, her eyes welling with tears. Claire Langston, do you accept my proposal of marriage? A moment of tranquility. She then laughed, a faint, strangled, exquisite sound, and nodded while in tears. Affirmative, certainly. Affirmative. The audience stood in ovation, their cheers and applause reverberating against the lofty glass ceiling. They were married 1 month later. The wedding did not take place in an opulent ballroom or a luxury resort. The event occurred at Thomas's residence, the little red brick community center that held significant importance for both individuals. Children constructed paper flowers. The chairs were incongruous. The cake was prepared by an intern from Henry's mentorship program, yet the room radiated with an intangible quality that wealth could not provide. Claire donned a plain white dress, her hair unbound. Henry donned that identical suit once more. Noah served as the best man at his side. The attendees comprised volunteers, colleagues, individuals from shelters, and numerous young employees who had previously occupied Henry's small workplace in pursuit of purpose. During the vows, Claire grasped Henry's hands and gazed into his eyes. You once gifted me a coat, she stated, her voice resolute and unwavering. This evening, I dedicate my entire existence to you. Her comments permeated the room akin to sunlight filtering through a stained glass window. Gentle, luminous, indelible. Henry was unable to articulate. He merely nodded, tears cascading down his cheeks while the surrounding audience dabbed at their eyes. Subsequent to this, laughter ensued and music commenced. The gathering extended into the courtyard, where youngsters frolicked barefoot and strands of fairy lights shimmered in the dusk. An individual captured an image. Henry and Claire positioned themselves beneath the sign of Thomas's establishment. Adjacent to one another, her head resting on his shoulder, his arm around her, and next to them on an easel stood the aged coat, silent, tattered, and now immortalized. The image subsequently circulated online, disseminated, reshared, and discussed. A metaphor not only of second chances, but also of how a mere act of kindness can penetrate the cold and transform everything. Occasionally, the most minor gesture, a coat, a smile, a nice word, can resonate more profoundly than we anticipate. Henry possessed little, yet he contributed what he was able. In return, he transformed not only Claire's life. He discovered affection, meaning, and a fresh start. Their narrative illustrates that kindness does not necessitate perfection, only presence and sincerity. If this narrative resonated with you and evoked the notion that hope persists in unforeseen realms, kindly like, share, and subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories. Here, we narrate stories that evoke warmth, rejuvenate confidence in humanity, and underscore what is genuinely significant. Until we meet again, remain compassionate and continue to have faith.